Hey guys, and welcome back! Simon here with another Eldritch Moon preview video. For this video, let's look at the intro packs we'll be getting in Magic's latest set. But these intro packs are kinda special in that they'll be the last intro packs we'll ever have the opportunity to get. After Eldritch Moon, starting with Kaladesh, intro packs will be referred to as Planeswalker Decks, and will be slightly modified. So, for now at least, intro packs are still the same old, which usually means they come with rubbish rares. These rares are featured on the front of the pack and are meant to somewhat describe the contents of the pack, setting the tone for its theme. Though they'll be the last of their kind, Eldritch Moon's intro packs are no exception. Let's take a look at each pack's rare and rank them in how I see their power. Remember, these intro rares are also rares you can get in any old Eldritch Moon boosters, so these previews and spoilers will stand for the entire expansion. Let's start with the weakest card and make our way to the one I believe to be the strongest. First, taking the weakest spot is the rare for the green intro pack, Ulvenwald Observer. I know intro rares are supposed to be, not so great, but this thing is insanely weak. For 4 generic and double green, you get a 6/6 tree folk. Whenever a creature you control with toughness 4 or greater dies, draw a card. I know green's supposed to be the color of huge creatures, but this is relying a little too heavily on that. A 6/6 for 6 is like bare bones standard, but at rare quality, you're looking for a lot more than that. Drawing cards when your creatures die is always a plus, but honestly, how many cards do you plan on drawing with this thing if they have to be at least 4 toughness? A case could have been made if the toughness didn't matter. Fill the board with weak tokens or something, and if they get wiped out, yay, card advantage. But for real, how many 4 toughness creatures do you really think's gonna die as Ulvenwald Observers in play? A few things could have been done to make this card a tad bit better. It could have had trample. It could have included creatures your opponents control. Really, anything would have been a welcomed addition to this simple card. Strangely enough, it's not an awful card in Limited. At the very least, it's a big body. Next we have the red intro pack rare, Assembled Alphas. A 5/5 wolf for 5 generic and a single red. Whenever Assembled Alphas blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, Assembled Alpha deals 3 damage to that creature and 3 damage to that creature's controller. Another 6-drop here, but a far more aggressive one, where Ulvenwald Observer kinda just sat around like a stump. I mean, he is a tree, Assembled Alpha goes out on the offensive. It has 1 less power and toughness, but trades it for the ability to deal damage to both the opponent and a defending creature. I like this card because it basically can't be blocked by creatures with 3 or less toughness. The damage gets blocked, yeah, but the blocking creatures won't deal its damage to Assembled Alphas. Even though Assembled Alpha's damage won't carry over to the player, at least 3 of it is dealt via its ability. Still really nice. The fact that it's also a wolf and open to tribal synergies is also a plus. I don't really see this card making it into standard, but it's a pretty awesome limited card. Next, let's look at the black mana intro rare, Noosegraf Mob. For 4 generic and double black, Noosegraf Mob is a 0/0 zombie that comes into play with 5 1/1 counters. Whenever a player casts a spell, remove a 1/1 counter from Noosegraf Mob. If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Man, another 6-cost rare! They must really hate these intro rares. Yet, even with this cost, I find Noosegraf Mob pretty acceptable. It comes into play basically as a 5/5, no worse than Assembled Alphas, but has the opportunity to be so much stronger. For each 1/1 counter you remove, you get a 2/2 zombie. That means Noosegraf Mob could potentially be a 10/10, of course the combined stats of 5 tokens. It helps that this triggers when either player casts a spell. Seeing how the overall toughness of Noosegraf Mob will eventually lower, your opponent's probably going to use some type of removal on it. If they do, at least you get 1 more 2/2 token out of it. Noosegraf Mob also has existing synergies with decks that love to cast spells, blue-black zombies for example. Of course, the zombie tribal itself is decent enough to bump this card's rating in my opinion. This card would have a lot of issues in limited play. Unless you grab a lot of cheaper spells or some tribal synergy, it probably won't be worth the 6 mana investment. Many times I can see this thing basically just being a 2/2 for 6 mana. Not a great deal. But it could see some constructed play. Build the right deck around it, and Noosegraf Mob can show you what it's made of. A lot of 2/2 tokens. Finally stepping out of the realm of 6-cost cards, we have the white mana rare, Sanctifier of Souls. For 3 generic and a single white, you get a 2/3 human cleric. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Sanctifier of Souls gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Pay 2 generic and a single white, exile a creature card from your graveyard, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Okay, so this card was hard to judge. Obviously a 2/3 for 4 isn't impressive, but it does produce tokens. Those tokens have flying, but it costs a card in the graveyard and 3 mana. It gets +1/+1, but only when creatures enter the battlefield under your control. I like cards that can always do something. I feel like Sanctifier of Souls is that kind of card. So long as you have targets in your graveyard, you can seek your mana into making flyers, which in turn buffs Sanctifier of Souls. It's not huge or anything, but it's enough to keep your opponent on edge. If you have a lot of extra mana, you can even do it a couple times, giving the card even more buffs and producing more spirit tokens. And of course, there are spirit and token tribals out there, so that kinda adds to my decision to rank it as the second strongest card. Maybe there's some kind of human spirit deck that could benefit from a card like this, but I feel it's a little expensive for constructed. As for limited, I think Sanctifier of Souls is a very solid pick. Like I said, it's a card that can always be doing something, and those tokens with evasion are no joke in limited. And finally, the intro rare I believe to be the strongest, the blue rare, Niblis of Frost. A 3/3 flying spirit for 2 generic and double blue. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, tap target creature and opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. It also has prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. A 3/3 flyer for 4 mana. That's already decent value. I've seen weaker cards cost more just to have that evasion. Tack on top of that prowess, and you got yourself a legit threat that can potentially swing in for a lot of damage in a single turn. Of course, the real kicker here is its last ability, turning it into a pseudo Frost Titan. It can control your opponent's creatures better than most spells out there, tapping down high priority threats and knocking flyers out of the way for itself. And go ahead, swing away all day, cause none of them are untapping next turn. Niblis of Frost is an amazing addition to control decks. You get double the control with a buffed up flyer. It's literally a match made in R&D heaven. This card's gonna be the bane of so many players out there. I'm actually shocked it's included in the intro packs. It could easily find a place in Control, Izzet, Spirits, any number of decks. As for limited, this card is like a sure pick. Even if you get 0 spells, which let's face it is just awful drafting, it's still a 3/3 flyer for 4. Add even a single spell and you've gotten so much value. It's just overall the single best intro rare in Eldritch Moon, bar none. Well, there you go guys, the 5 rares coming in our last intro packs for Eldritch Moon. What do you think about these cards and how would you rank their power? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, consider throwing in a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest Eldritch Moon spoilers, news, and lore. As always guys, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time.